Good morning. Welcome to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. We are in our 23rd year of bringing you great mortgage and real estate information. We've got an unbelievable panel to my right, Harry Glanz.
Good morning, Harvey. Good morning, everybody. Happy to be here. And you know what? Finally, we got some good news on the interest rate front this week.
We are going to share a lot of great news. There's Becky Alley over there, top 1% of all originators. Hey, Becky.
Hey, good morning. And speaking of great news, a shout out to my wife. Happy birthday to her yesterday. We were at Willis Show Bar, and I want to give a shout out to Ben Sharkey. He killed it. He's in a great performance. If you're ever in Detroit, go check out the Willis Show Bar and Ben Sharkey. He is amazing.
There you go. Miguel, happy birthday.
Yeah. Hey, Nancy Katz's birthday. My girl's birthday tonight, too.
Here we go.
So
a lot of birthdays.
A lot of birthdays out there happening. Sherry Gramlich, welcome to our show again.
Hey,
welcome back.
Thank you.
Of course, Sherry's a veteran, and we got a lot to talk about this morning. We always touch on Veterans Administration, the VA loans, the Zero Down program, and we'll get into some all really details about that program. Absolutely. And how you can get yourself a VA loan Zero Down. We've got tons to share with you. Hey, don't be a stranger. Give us a call. 248-539-9797. We'll take your calls. If you are a first-time home buyer, we keep saying it, Becky. There's this great window of opportunity. It snuck up on us last year. We had it the year before. November through January 2nd or 3rd or 4th. There's a window where people check out, and not all the buyers are buying right now. And this is your opportunity to become a home buyer.
I think there's a lot of people that are taking advantage of it. You know, some people we're dealing with the whole buyer fatigue, but I do firmly believe that the ones that are recognizing, they understand that the rents are not going any lower. They are really investing in themselves and getting the boots on the ground, getting in with a real estate agent, because you need to invest in yourself. And I always feel that this is the time of year where it is the best. I bought every house I've ever purchased was in the month of October. You're coming off those seasonal summer highs. It's right before the winter, just what my timing was. But, the truth is that Michigan has been a 365 state for at least the last 5 years. I mean, there really has not been much of a slowdown all year for the last 5 years, as far as I'm concerned.
However, when you're talking about buyers year after year after year, you get more bang for your buck, come in October, November, December. You're going to be able to get concessions if you need them. VA loans go through a whole lot better because there's not as many buyers out there. The buyers that are out there are serious, and this is a time when I thrive.
So, Sherry, you're talking about here. You hit the nail on the head. Yep. There are less people out there now because they were fearful of the rates. The weather's turning. Only the serious buyers are out there now. You're making a big mistake if you're not looking to buy a home now. Why? Rates are starting to stabilize, and we know that going into 2024 and throughout 2024, we feel the indicators are that rates are going to start coming down slowly. Now, they're not going to drop from 8 to 4. It's just not going to happen. I mean, they went up from 4 to 8, but they're not going down from 8 to 4. So there are less people out there now. And if rates start going down and the national media says, rates are going down, then all of a sudden, people are sheep. They're going to come back out in the market in droves. So what's going to happen? You're still going to have low inventory, right? So low inventory means less houses. You're going to have now more buyers coming in, driving the prices up, and you're going to have more competition. So the question I've always asked is, what are you waiting for?
Yeah, I agree with you. And the reality is that if you hear about it, you're already missing the boat. And the ones that are going to be winning are the ones that didn't stop. They didn't get out of it. They didn't quit. They didn't get discouraged. They were okay with these higher interest rates because now they're being rewarded because we just got a 65 basis points to our favor, because of what's happening in our own backyard. I think we can thank the UAW strike for the jobs report that actually had this little bit of a big rate decrease just Friday. But to that point,
especially here in Detroit, we're big three, so
yeah.
Have those automotive workers in their jobs is huge because it's a trickle effect, right?
Yep, and it had an effect on the rates in the positive manner. So in that regard, the people that are not stopping and they're not being discouraged and they're not acting like sheep, they are the ones that are going to be winning because they're already set. They already have all their documents and they're already out there looking. So the ones that are just stepping into now, do it now because it's just going to continue to go that way. Because like you said, people just human nature is, you're standing in line. I don't know what you're standing in line for, but I'm going to stand in line too because it looks really cool. Well, if you're at the back of the bus, you're waiting a little bit longer to get into those homes.
Yeah, I will tell you this, that we measure things in mortgage applications. You measure them in closings, right?
Oh, yeah.
Listings, closings, we measure them in mortgage applications. mortgage applications the last 2 weeks have been up. Okay, there are people out there. They're out there. I just ask Becky and Harvey if you don't take my word for it, but people are out there. There's a lot of activity out there right now. So what's going to happen with this? A little bit of a pause. The Federal Reserve came out, everybody, if you didn't hear, and they said that they were going to pause. They did not raise the Fed funds rate this past week, which is an indication to me, 50-50 shot, that they're not going to raise them going into 2024. They're pausing right now. They don't want to say that they're stopping, because if they stop, they have to stop. So they're saying they're paused temporarily. They're going to weigh out other indicators. They're going to see how, if inflation gets more in check. It's still not the way that they want it, but is that even real? So they took a pause on raising rates. So that's where we are today.
I got $2.99 gas yesterday. So again, we saw a little bit lower gas at the Costco pump. I hit the Costco. Also, interest rates did sneak down a little bit. So there's another great news out there as the economy hopefully starts continue to improve a little bit. And there's these open windows of opportunities. We'll talk all about that. We'd like to hear from you at 248-539-9797. Always a heartfelt thanks to all the military personnel out there. Go out there, the brave people. Also, we have special programs for you at VA. So definitely give us a call at Capital Mortgage Funding, and all the first responders. We're still keeping all those programs intact that we had over the pandemic. All the first responders, call Capital Mortgage Funding and save a few extra bucks. Not only that, get your offer accepted and close on that house.
Becky, talk about with Sherry the VA loan. The VA loan is 100%. It's 100% loan value. In other words, you don't have to come up with a down payment. Go ahead and talk about that, because I don't think vets out there understand that they can afford. Remember, you have to afford it, but they can afford to buy a home.
Yeah, I mean, and there's really no income limit on that, and there's no loan limit on that. But if you have a VA loan, those are your God-given benefits to use because you have served for your country. That is your down payment, as Sherry says.
Oh, that is.
Yep.
That's huge,
Yep.
right?
Huge down
That
payment.
is your down payment. So what does that mean? If you are a veteran of the United States military,
services,
you can get zero down. That's not zero out of pocket, but you can also have concessions involved with that. There's a lot of benefits as well when it comes to even appraisals. You know, the appraisal is gonna let you know, hey, by the way, it's looking like the value's not coming in. We can issue what's called Tidewater. Tidewater is not a bad thing. Tidewater is the appraiser letting everyone know, hey, I'm not seeing the comparables that you have used for this. Please supply what you were looking at for the value so we can help get this value in at the purchase
You know
price.
what's really cool about that too is there's no other loan that you can actually do a reconsideration of value
Before it even
twice.
happens. Yeah.
Because you've got Tidewater where your agents work together for comps, and then if it still don't come up, you can do the reconsideration of value.
Mm-hmm.
So it's huge.
Talk about a couple great things about VA loans. Obviously, the ratios, you can have lower credit scores. Also, disabled vets can a lot of times not pay property taxes. So there's some really interesting things that pop up all the time. You're like, I didn't know that was something available to me. Saving your money and buying a house, not throwing out the money on rent, and it's more affordable. Again, any disabled veterans out there, you would qualify in most cities where you don't even have to pay your property taxes. So that's a little sneaky thing.
Absolutely.
Becky, how about no mortgage insurance? That's another thing.
Yeah.
There's no mortgage insurance. And sometimes if you're disabled, they'll even waive the funding fee.
Yep. And then another amazing thing is that a lot of individuals and some lenders, they force you to escrow VA. You do not have to escrow your taxes and insurance if you do not want to VA. This is lifetime benefits. You can use it over and over again. And there was a little bit of, during the pandemic, there was a lot of hesitancy for VA. And, there's some of the offers weren't getting accepted. It was all of a sudden like conventional is king. And people like myself, Sherry, and everyone here at Capital Mortgage Funding, because we are, we put our boots on the ground. We're all about our vets. And we're actually screaming from the mountaintops, let's stop that noise, because our veterans deserve to be on the top of that list if they qualify. A veteran, when it comes to VA, there's that bad stigma of, it's a little bit more strict. There's more that goes into it. And all that is just inexperience talking out loud. So when we come back from the break, I want to get into why an appraisal for VA is not a bad thing and why it really isn't any more different than any other loan.
Come back and join us, 248-539-9797. We'll be right back. Alrighty, welcome back to the show. It's a Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, November 4th, 2023. We are brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding and powered by,
Yeah.
we are powered by CMG Home Loans.
1820 NMLS number. Got to be compliant, Harvey, and legal.
Okay, NMLS
Always.
1820 equal housing letter. Our NMLS number keeps getting lower where I see a lot of people.
Well, that
it
means
keeps-
we're more experienced.
That's right. We've been around a long time, but we won't get into that MLS
What's
number
your
stuff.
NMLS number, Harvey, for
Mine's only-
for the federal?
Mine?
Yeah.
131251.
That's how many letters? How many?
Six.
That's
Only
six.
six numbers.
What's
Six.
mine?
Yours is like 5 digits here.
61034?
It says you've been around. You were
Yeah.
licensed very, very early in this game.
Thank you.
I won't
I
get into
appreciate
the
that.
fact that if you're probably. I see a lot of people out there. I wasn't going to go down this road, Harry, but
Yeah,
a
you
lot
do.
of. A lot of people with 2 million plus folks, we already know in the industry. I don't know if the real estate agents know that if your loan officer has a 2 million plus, I hope they're very, very, very educated in mortgages and they've learned a lot in those in that first or second year.
We'll move off this, but what Harvey's trying to say is he looks at other mortgage people's unique identifying number. It's their ID number in our industry. And if he sees one that's really, really high, he has a field day with it. But other than that, that's it. It just means they're not experienced.
All right,
It doesn't mean they're bad
that's
people.
all I'm saying. It doesn't mean you're a bad guy. It just
Doesn't mean
means you
you're a
got your
bad
license 2 years ago. I don't know if you're the most experienced person out there. Maybe 2
All
years
right,
makes
let's
you. I
move
don't
on.
know.
But that also, I mean, to that point, I mean,
Okay.
you have to start somewhere, okay?
Right.
And there's people that have been in the business for 50 years that are not. They are not doing anyone any favors because they are just.
Exactly.
They need to. I'm not saying retire, but they're not boots on the ground. They're not
Right.
in there doing
it
the money.
really matters who you work with.
It does.
And I will tell you from our side, right? From the real estate side, when we have a lender that's a wannabe, that
Oh, boy.
You just knew we're not going there,
Well,
Sherry.
let me reel
you
it
know,
in.
it's
Let me reel
hard.
it back.
It's
Yeah.
hard, right? But when you have a lender that's experienced,
It's fun.
they know how to pivot. They know how to get stuff done. And that is just amazing. So we talked about the VA loan and the VA inspection, right? You know, sometimes a lot of people don't realize that with the VA loan, you can still assume repairs if you need to. And with a good experienced lender, they're going to make that happen.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, we were at, Becky sponsored an event, Real Producers event, held at the Park West Galleries on Northwestern in Southfield this past week. Harvey was there. I was there. There are a lot of great realtors and other lenders there. You know, the lending community and the real estate community is a very tight-knit community.
Yeah.
Everybody who's doing any business should know who they are. And you know what? It's a sense of camaraderie, too. It's not, everybody wants to feel that they're competing against everybody else. They're not really competing. The only person in our industries, whether it's real estate or mortgage, the only one you're competing against is yourself. So the way I look at it is when you get out and go see the events, you get the vibe. Of course, there are always good people there. There maybe not so good people, but that's in life in general. But our industry is a very tight-knit industry, and you can get things done by your experience level, your connections, and the fact that you've been around a long time and you know how to get it done.
Yeah, you can't fake it till you make it. And you could, but you're going to get exposed if you are trying to fake it till you make it, like you were mentioning. And, you know, you have to be around, especially in this kind of market, you have to be around people that know what they're doing and then can identify the problem before it's a problem or deal with it as it comes up, not wait for someone to tell you there's a problem. And we take a lot of pride in identifying those situations. We're looking at the credit reports. We're identifying the situations. We're asking the questions before we even give someone that piece of paper to skip down the road, because nothing is more catastrophic than someone finally getting under contract after looking at 10 homes and then they're getting this call from their lender saying, oh my gosh, you don't qualify anymore because someone didn't look at the income correctly. And I bring this up because it happens often. We might not be the first phone call, but we're going to be the last phone call. And I have probably 3 files on my desk specifically that from this week where they were pre-approved from another lender and they got a call as soon as they're like, hey, everyone, I'm under contract. I'm going to get this offer accepted. And then the lender all of a sudden starts looking at the things all over again, and they realize they made a mistake or they didn't actually look at something because there's transactions in each and every one of these files. They just did not look at them properly.
I'm going to sort of bring that full circle. Yeah, Harry, I hugged it out. It's funny at that great event. I'm thanking Real Producers for letting me sneak in there with you, Becky, and all that. But yeah, the people I was hugging out with are a lot of great mortgage people. So yes, let's just go full circle. A lot of great people in the industry. You got to find one of those people because yes, Becky, we do get those phone calls. If you have a pre-approval in your hand and you're shopping for homes with a real estate estate agent and you haven't submitted documentation, this is key. You have not submitted documentation to that lender, you probably aren't pre-approved. Your agent needs to know that. And that's what happens with experienced agents, Sherry. You want to grab somebody and really steer them into the right direction because it's still lots of competition out there. Those low interest rates of 20 and 21, the pandemic low interest rates, has wiped out our supply. Our inventory is so low now, and you have to be the strongest offer out there. And that's why, Sherry, if you're driving around spending money on gas, you want to know that that offer is going to close and things are going to move forward with that transaction.
Strong segue. That's a strong segue. So, Sherry, all the realtor partners that we're talking to right now, and you're included in this, are all telling us that there's a backlog of buyers that they have waiting to buy homes, and they're just not coming on the market.
Correct. Sellers are just hanging on. They refinanced into low interest rates. They're like, why would I buy a new one? Right? But there's so much out there to be had.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, life situations change. And I will
Absolutely.
say that, I don't want to say you're a sophisticated seller, but they either are staying put with the lower rates or they did a cash out refinance and made their home what they wanted it to be, and therefore they're staying. So it's like you're having that issue. And then you had the new home buyers that were borderline getting pushed out of that affordability range because the rates were up to 8% in some situations, even just like last week. And now with this jobs report coming out, we are going to see a little bit of brink. So I'm pressing all the buttons. We're locking every single person that we can. And we're circling back to a few people that maybe got priced out because this is a moment. There's a window. There's always opportunities, but you have to have your hat in the ring to take advantage of those opportunities, right?
Absolutely.
But to that point, life changes on a dime. And in 1 minute, you're staying put as a seller, and the next minute, you're listing your house because there's a life-changing moment, whether it was a divorce or a job change. I had a few people that are coming from California, transferring to Michigan because Michigan is very affordable and people are coming here from the outside in because in Texas and Georgia and California, New York, don't even get me started. It is very like for $3,000, you're getting a closet in New York. I mean, and in Michigan, you could get a waterfront property for under $1 million. But the word is out, and that's why we're trying to let everyone in our Michigan market know that investors understand. They know what they're doing. And if you are afraid to buy the house, they are not. They're going to take that temporary higher interest rate. They're going to take advantage of the situation. And when the rates drop, they're going to refinance because they understand what the cash flow is. So when we're saying this, it's applying to you as it should because people are understanding there's opportunities here, and we want you to understand that as well.
Real estate is still the best investment long term, and people understand that. And that's why it kind of makes me a little bit angry when you're talking to somebody and they still want to rent. Oh, I think we're going to rent for another year and a half until rates come down.
They're still paying somebody's mortgage,
They're
right?
nervous.
Do the math. Just go $1,000, just because you can multiply 1,000 very easy. So if you go ahead and you stay in that house a year to 18 months, that's $12,000 to $18,000 that you threw into somebody else's pocket. All right, coupled with the fact that prices of homes aren't going down, they're going up, and you're losing that appreciation that you would have if you bought right now, and that home is going to appreciate. Plus, you're building your own personal wealth there. Stop paying somebody else's mortgage. You got to try. If you can afford that payment, right? The old adage is, well, I can afford the payment, I just can't come up with a down payment. Well, we can help you. There are so many. Becky, Allie, tell everybody, how many down payment assistance programs do we have?
It would make someone's mind and their eyelids peel back if I sat here and listed every single solitary one. I'm going to rattle off the more important,
There's
more
free
popular
money
ones.
out there, right?
Yes.
There's free money out there. When we say that, we don't say it tongue in cheek because Becky's going to tell you where that money's coming from.
And in some of these situations, you do not have to be a first-time home buyer, and that's where there's that whole misnomer where they think, "Oh, I don't qualify," or there's that. The biggest one is MIJDA. That's here in Michigan. If you meet the certain income limits, you can receive up to $10,000. In some certain targeted areas, you do not have to be a first-time home buyer. That is key. Also, you can have a spouse where you're the first-time home buyer and they are not. You still can qualify, but it's total income of the house, total income qualifying. We have some that are city-specific, where if you're looking in Detroit, you can get up to $25,000. Lincoln Park, $14,000, $14,999. Livonia, Westland. So I mean, there are very specific niches for the very specific areas. So we can go very macro or micro on here, or we can go very large and expand it out. There's also programs where you can get a first and second mortgage at the same time. So it's over 100% financing. You do not have to be a first-time home buyer. There are no income limits. So when I say that the limit does not exist, like in Mean Girls, like the limit does not exist, it's true. But you have to have the conversation, because it's all about getting you in the vehicle that's going to get you where you're going to go. Because what someone else did 2 years ago, or what your sister did, 6 months ago, that's not your GPS. That was theirs.
If you didn't know about it, you know about it now. It's worth the call. It doesn't cost you any money to call. 1-800-LOW-RATE, 1-800-569-7283, or locally 248-569-7283. But you have to be educated. Most lenders are not going to tell you about this because they don't know about it.
Most lenders don't do these kind of programs yet. They don't know, and they don't talk about it because they don't know what they're doing, or they don't not that they don't know what they're doing. They just don't know what these programs are. So I take that back. It's not that they don't know what they're doing, but we have access to a lot of great things, and I want to bring it back to VA even. With a veteran loan, a VA loan, you do not have to have a minimum investment. So what do I mean? It's zero down. So if you buy a house with Sherry and there's concessions involved, and you gave a $3,000 earnest money deposit to show good faith that I'm going to put a offer on this house, you do zero down, you get concessions. At closing, you can get your $3,000 earnest money deposit back. These are things that the experienced lenders are going to be educating our buyers. And if they're not, you need to be having a better conversation, because it's all about the good conversations.
Got a lot of counties listening here in Southeast Michigan,
Yeah.
Of course. All the northern counties.
real
You got
fired up.
Genesee, Livingston, Lenawee, you folks, Monroe. A lot of you can get that USDA loan. So
Yeah.
definitely keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. When we come back, 248-539-9797. All your calls. Welcome back to the show. It's a Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, 929. If you're just getting up out there, not a pretty day outside. Not too bad.
It's
We'll
good out
take
there.
it.
Bro, it's November.
It's November.
Can we just talk about that November?
It's November.
Like came by, like did a dip and was like, "What's up?" And then like it's November already. It's like, it was
It
like
is
so-
November.
It was so fast.
Yeah, we had a spirited discussion at the break. We
Yeah.
talk about the passion that we have for helping people find that down payment assistance,
Yeah.
get them into the house, and just watch them flourish in that new house. Makes us feel really, really good. Been doing this a long time. Nothing makes me feel better than getting a first-time home buyer in that house with some kind of down payment assistance.
I agree. And I would say, I mean, I'm going to speak from a personal experience. Like even when I always make sure I keep locked into my first-time buyer self. And that is what allows me to kind of see it through someone else's eyes. I don't care how long I've been in the business. I make sure I stay connected to my first time buyer self and what that felt like. And even when I was still in the business, but at the same time, it's very important to understand someone's mindset. And I feel that when someone is looking to be a first-time home buyer, when we don't understand, like, why do you still want to rent? Why do you want to pay someone else's mortgage? Because in their mind, there's a million, like, oh, I don't have this. I don't have enough money. And maybe, I'm going to wait till I have my college degree. And then, I'm going to wait till I'm this and I'm going to make this much money. There's all these reasons of why they're waiting.
Buying a house can be pretty intimidating when you don't know the process, right?
For sure.
That's why, like, an experienced realtor is going to sit down with your buyers and say, let's talk about the process. Let's tell you what's going to happen from this step to this step to this step.
Mm-hmm. And people think they need $20,000 or something like that. Let me just be very clear. You do not have to have 20% down to buy a house. There are a million programs out there. When I say a million, it's quite a few that are going to help you qualify to get into the house. Now you own the house. The other misconception is people think that they have to have like tens of thousands of dollars, and owning a home is going to be this constant upkeep of just tens of thousands of dollars every month, and it's not. You have your monthly payment. You get a private home inspection, so you know you're not going to be coming up with these big ticket items. So that is why you do not waive your private home inspection. You get yourself in line with someone like Sherry that is fighting for you to get you the best deal as a buyer, because even though it's technically a seller's market on paper, you need to be with someone that is going to help you as a buyer check just as many of your boxes as the seller, so that way once you own the house, your life is going to change. You now have a payment that you can afford. Ideally, maybe you got some first-time home buyer money or not first-time home buyer money, but you have a payment that you can afford, and now you are changing your life, and you're paying the same, if not less, to rent someone else's home, and now you're establishing yourself in real estate.
And once you get in, Harvey, once you get in the house, listen, I used to call you the new construction king. You're the water king. You're the new construction guy. You've built a few homes in your life, so you have that life experience. Okay, Sherry has her life experiences that she could pass on. She's a vet. She knows what it's like to serve the country. She knows about VA loans and a lot of other things, I might add. But you have that personal experience. Becky bought her first house. She was like 25, I think, right? 25 or 24. All right, so we go back to the point in time. We don't lose sight of that. It's a personal thing for us. We're running around today picking up documents from borrowers. That's what we do. People say, Harry, what are you doing? What are you working so much for? I like it. I like it. I wouldn't do it if I didn't like it, but I'm meeting first-time homebuyers. We're picking up their documents. This is what we do. It's part of your personality. If you can't serve your client and understand what they're going through on every transaction, all right, we do a lot of transactions, but they're all individual transactions because you have to know the client that you're working with. So we have so many people that have great experiences that are going to help people through the construction. If they want to build a swimming pool, call Harvey. He loves swimming pools for sure. He does. Okay, Becky knows what it's like to go through an experience at a very, very young age, Sherry. So the personal experience that we can bring, we've got over 200 years of experience in our office, okay? When I say that, that's just on a few people.
It's amazing.
I mean, John Cole will tell you that he thinks I have 100 years of experience. So bottom line is that we feel it. We eat it, we sleep it, we drink it, we feel it. And if we can't get that job done for you, go somewhere else. That's how I feel about it. When I say that, I mean, nobody is going to outwork us.
Hey, Beck, no doubt. We both wish we kept our first house that we bought.
Oh, yeah.
I do too.
But we helped the inventory situation out back then. Yeah, in hindsight, it would be nice to be a landlord.
But that's why we're teaching people now. We're
teaching
through our own mistakes.
But we took that money and then we bought another house and then another one and another. I don't know, 4 or 5 of them, however it worked out. Yeah, we wish we would all kept them. Maybe not in 2009 when the values dropped.
But even then, anyone that held on to it, though, they've still won.
Way ahead of the game. Way ahead of the game. Boy, we used to have a lot of people calling us, Sherry, back then and saying, oh, why did I buy this? Why did I do this? Yeah, the ones that kept their house and took the good advice, the good experience advice that we gave them, they're doing great right now.
I used to get fired up. I'm going to take it back in the time. We're going to get in the hot tub time machine for a second. when we were having those conversations, I used to get really frustrated because here I bought a house in 2006. 2 years later, the housing market exploded. We're not in that same environment. So this is just, I'm going in hot tub time machine. I didn't understand when that was happening, when people were running away from their homes because they were just running away from them just because they knew their house wasn't worth it. But if they just held on to it, they literally came out ahead and some. And, you know, they're like running away from their homes and then buying a house that was cheaper, or, you know, I get there was like a whole thing back then and it was crazy. No one knew what was happening. But at the same time, like there was some people that had to walk away and some people that were choosing to walk away and they didn't have to
So
necessarily.
what happened at that point in time, there were things that were going on that didn't happen for 65, 70 years.
Right.
And nobody alive went through it. So nobody knew how to react to it. So we would feel the calls. I'm going to put my keys on my counter and I'm going to walk out. And we said, why are you doing that? Don't you going to be there? Aren't you going to be there for a long time? Well, my neighbor did it and they don't have to pay. Well, no, you're wrong. Your neighbor lost 2 jobs. They couldn't afford the house anymore, so it was going into foreclosure. You are gainfully employed. You're doing well. Hang on to it and the market will come back. All right. The housing market leads you out of a recession. That's what the leaders are. And they hang on to it. They have benefited greatly. So those who have stayed, okay, I hate to say it, those who have stayed will be champions. Those who have stayed, okay, have been the
did great.
beneficiary multiple times.
All right,
Yep.
good segue.
And it's the same thing even right now. Those that stay
Exactly.
are
Yeah.
going to be the winners. The ones that are staying the course and not getting out just because of the media and what the media is saying. They're going to say everything negative. You barely even heard that the rates dropped on Friday on media. But here we are. The ones that are staying are going to win. The ones that are going to stay are going to get their homes accepted because everyone else is going to come in when these rates drop. Let's just say even in March of 2024, everyone and their mom is going to get up in this in
Right,
this
'cause it'll
real
be
estate market.
springtime.
Exactly
Yeah.
why
And it's
they
gonna be
should be
wild.
buying now. Because come March, when people are starting to buy between school years,
Oh, it's going to
prices.
be crazy.
You could
It'll be
almost,
nuts.
Sherry, it's great because you can almost purchase 5% down conventional now. 6 months later, come this springtime, refinance the house. We're all praying that the rate's a little lower. Maybe remove the mortgage insurance, the PMI on the transaction. If you got an FHA loan now, maybe come springtime, you got a lot of equity
So-
and you've improved your credit. Lots of debt consolidation things that can truly benefit so many families.
If you have a plan, and that's the financial plan that you have
Yeah,
to
I
sit
like
down
that.
with somebody. So there's a plan. So if you do something now, what can I do in the months to come? We'll put out the plan for you. We'll lay it out. And right now, let's just say, and I'm a downside risk guy, so what's the worst case scenario that's going to happen? So you point it out to somebody, listen, what's the worst thing that could happen? You buy a house now, the rate is close to 8%. Rates aren't going to 15. So maybe, just maybe, we can save you more money in the spring, remove the MI, okay, get you a lower rate and you're going to have a payment. But if you wait, the price of that new house is going to be, it's sharply higher than it is right this second. You watch what happens in the spring and summer of 2024 with the continued lack of inventory.
Well, you're trying to educate. It's like pick your poison, right? You get in the house right now because what you're locking in is the price that you're paying for the house. You're not technically locking in the interest rate because you can always refinance and adjust that like you're talking about. So you lock in the price of the home at a payment that you can afford now, which would be higher than it's been in the last 20 years. Fine. But then when these rates drop, you're now going to be pulling back that why everyone else is fighting over the same 5 houses in 6 more
paying
months.
more.
And paying more. Correct. Because the house, just like in 3 years ago, everyone is bragging about those interest rates, but they're not bragging about the ones that they paid $100,000 over asking because they wanted to win. Now they did come out ahead because we've been in an appreciating market. So you gotta be forward thinking, but it's all about setting yourself up for success, but also having that plan. Because I'm also getting calls where cash out refinance applications are up right now, regardless of the rates, because individuals, especially like the auto workers. They are in strike. You're living off the credit cards. People are getting in bad financial positions, and they need to do something now, knowing that they're going to take a step now, and we're going to take a step later down the road to get them in a better
There's
position.
a few strikes out there. There's Blue Cross Blue Shield. People at the casinos had some issues. Look,
Yeah.
some families are struggling out there. Again, get more smart people in your life. I always use that. I wish I had some
More
smarter
smart,
people in
yeah.
my life when I was younger. S&P CoreLogic. These are real numbers. Case Shiller Price Index. and along with the Federal Housing Finance Agency, FHFA.
Correct.
Their numbers don't lie. 19 out of the 20 cities, home values are up. It started a little slower this year, 2023, but it has picked up a lot of steam. And headed into 2024, homes are appreciating. It's supply and demand. It's pretty simple math, guys. Get yourself a house. Call Capital Mortgage Funding at 1-800-LOW-RATE. We will set you up for success. Get you one of these top agents we always have on the show, just like Sherry Gramlich, who we care about the clients, right? Forget about your commission check. Forget about all that noise.
Huge.
You need to really get people that care about you. They're going to build these long-term relationships.
Wait, speaking of commission checks, okay, so we have Sherry is one of the top-notch people. She is a high-class human being, and everyone that on the radio waves needs to know this about Sherry.
She's a humanocrat. I love her. She's
yes,
part of my party.
she is a great person. So I want you to. So what do you give back out of your commission checks to your clients? I want everyone to hear about the high level of frequency that she is constantly vibrating at.
So when I work with veterans specifically, and I'm going to bring that up because I really specialize in working with veterans. Not only am I a veteran, I've got a daughter, a son-in-law, brothers that have served our country. And so because of that, my passion is just really over the top. So when I work with a veteran, I donate right off the top 10% of my commission to a veteran charity of their choice. So I let them pick the veteran charity and I donate it. I take it right to the charity. Sometimes if the buyer's willing, I let them come with me so they can see it when I hand it to them.
It's wonderful.
And it just gives me such great joy.
Well, because that's the next level. It's the what you love most, you want to give back, you want to share. And the fact that you are, you get involved with them, they're part of the process, they're educated, but then even after the process, you are like, I want to give back to you and something that you're passionate about. And we had even a caller, I think like 2 weeks ago, he was VA, he was looking to build. You can build new construction with your VA benefits. Sure. The limit is not it's not there. Like on VA loans, if you have those benefits, there is no loan limits. There's just, I don't know. It's just all the things.
Oh, you open up a little can of
I got
worms
music
here.
in my
We're
ear.
up against the break. We might come back and talk about renovation loans. Do you love your house? You like your neighbors? Maybe just a little bit of money will get you that extra bedroom or bathroom. When we come back, 248-539-9797. All your calls. We are back, 9:44 if you're just joining us. Listen to 97.1 The Ticket. Of course, sports follows up. They're going to talk all about college football today. We got Pistons, Red Wings. We've got Lions tomorrow. Oh, not tomorrow. Actually, the Lions are off. They're not going to be. They got
have a bye this
little
week.
break. Yeah.
Bro, they
Get
played
to
on
heal
Monday
up
night.
a little
They
bit.
won on Monday Night Football.
That was an awesome
a
night.
great
People
game.
are telling me I haven't got down to Ford Field for one of these games. You can't get a
Yeah.
ticket now, Harry. And of course, we gave away some tickets.
We did. We gave
I
away
s-
some Lions tickets. I was at the game actually on Monday night. It was a great atmosphere. A lot of people there. We're just jacked up about our football team. We're winning 6-2 at the break. We got a bye week. We're getting healthy. Let's go. Let's go,
I'm ready.
Lions.
They're
Fun
due for the
sports
Super Bowl.
town.
I've been saying the Super Bowl for like 10 years. it's about time. You say it enough, it's going to eventually happen.
All right, we'll take any of your
Hey,
calls
let's
here.
pump the brakes on the Super Bowl back.
Yeah, easy on that.
I don't want to jinx anything here.
248-539-9797. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. Again, always trying to make real estate fun, and it's fun to buy a house. I'm excited. I had a couple first-time home buyers close this week, and I know they're excited about moving in. And, one of the houses is a complete steal. I'm not going to give any details of it. It's in Genesee County, and just a complete steal. It was a brick house. It was redone. It had newer appliances. It had brand new countertops. It had so many great qualities. And the young person bought the house without getting too detailed. If she wants to get a roommate, she can and really cut her bills in half. She doesn't want to get a roommate, she can afford it all on her own. We set her up for success. We didn't overdo the down payment. Again, you could take the $10,000 the state of Michigan wants to give you for the Michigan down payment. It worked out where we could play around with the numbers a little bit. Now she only owes the $6,900 she took for the down payment assistance. The Michigan program, you do have to pay back, but equity the appreciation is going up so fast. Becky, maybe 1 or 2 years from now, a lot of the families who got the Michigan loan, they'll refinance, they'll pay off the Michigan loan, they'll be on their way to paradise.
Yeah, so you do have to pay. So it's like up to $10,000. You only have to pay it back if you sell or refinance the property or you convert it to an investment property. Those are things that would trigger those things to be paid back. But our individuals that have taken out the Michigan loan over the last, several years, when we were part of the refinance, even like last 2-3 years, that $10,000 that was added to their payoff was a drop in the bucket in the grand scheme of things. Because you have to think about it, the $10,000 that you're saving now up front, you're going to recoup that in the equity that you have in the home. So equity is if someone were to put $100,000 on a table in front of you, just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there, and it is there for you when you do sell. If not up to whatever that amount is, but when you do sell, refinance, we're going to talk about that. We're going to factor that into the numbers because it doesn't just disappear. But as far as you're concerned, you don't see it unless you're selling, refinancing, or converting to an investment.
248-539-9797. Again, here we talk all about these different programs. We want to sort of circle back here. Again, conventional loans as minimal as 3% down. We have some unique programs on the conventional side. Freddie Mac's got a special program, the Borrower Smart program. There's a little bit of extra money out there that if you get organized, you take the class, which is simple. Most of the people, it's an online free class, or the $99 class, really inexpensive to get your hands on some additional money that you can use for closing. Again, keeping the money in your pocket allows you to maybe buy those new appliances if you get into the house. Maybe it gives you a few extra bucks that you can put back in your pocket in case you need a hot water heater. There are things in functionality of a home. Yeah, things do break down. I think we mentioned that I might have had the humidifier was leaking a little bit of water. I might have to reach into my pockets a little bit. It's okay. Winter's coming up. The furnace is in great shape. So just a little shout out there as the weather changes, get those furnaces checked so you're not calling at the last minute when the furnace goes out in the middle of January. I just had a simple cleaning of the furnace 2 years ago. The thing's running like a champ. Now, I probably jinxed myself, but there's a little bit of maintenance things you can do. A few weeks ago, we had Stacy on from one of the warranty companies, and then she talks about this little bit of money, $4.99, $5.99. There's all these little warranties you can pick up to cover all the appliances in the house, the furnace, anything that you want covered. Again, insurance, it costs some money. I just got my car insurance bill. That's gone up a little bit. But when you get in an accident, you got to be insured. Same thing with the warranties.
Yeah, I like the warranty fact. When she was on, it was a great, it struck a chord.
Yeah.
Light bulb went on in my head and said, it's the same thing with the home inspection. All right, go ahead and pick up a home warranty that protects you. And if you're going to buy a house, my favorite subject, never waive the home inspection. Largest purchase of your life. Go in, check it out. Sherry's shaking her head. Sherry, we always recommend a home inspection. You got to get in there first, and you got to check out the house because you don't know what could be under there. Listen, a lot of cities are very, very old, have a lot of sewer pipes. Everybody likes to throw the camera down in the sewer, see what's going on in the sewer line. People have sewer line issues. I hear it all the time. And a lot of times what happens is the seller and the buyer get together. The seller gives a credit. They lived in the house for 30, 40 years. They don't know what's going on in their house. They want to sell the house. So if they don't sell it to that buyer, they're going to have the same issue if they say, we're pulling out of the deal, we're going to sell it to somebody else. That travels with you. It travels with the house. It doesn't get better because you sell the house to somebody else. So you have to have that home inspection, Sherry.
Oh, absolutely. Totally agree. I was kind of ignorant to the fact when I had bought my first house. City did the inspection, VA did their inspection. So I said, well, I have a personal inspection. Wrong answer. Because what the city looks for is what's code. What the VA looks for is health and safety. What FHA looks for is health and safety. There's a lot of stuff that gets missed. When you hire a private home inspector, they go in with a microscope.
Yeah. So like an example on appraisal, what's health and safety is chipping paint, something that you're seeing with your eyes. If there's mold, obviously, you know, whether it's VA, FHA, conventional, if you can see mold with your eyeballs, that's always going to be a problem. I don't care who you are. It's going to be an issue. But they're looking for the very, like the obvious things, like a hand railing missing, going down the stairs. What they're not looking at is, what's going on in the attic, what's going on in the foundations,
mold
correct?
issues.
Yes.
I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, just working on a purchase again, and I was, at that event with you and talking to some great agents, and I met some younger agents at the event the other week who I recognize are up and coming superstars, and I just gave a little bit of advice. I don't know if they wanted it or not, but I said I've closed a few purchases before, and I said, well, a couple things you can do as an agent. How about if you have a flashlight in your car, so when you show that house, you know a little bit more. You can take the flashlight up to the hot water heater. You can look at the furnace. You can really look at other things like Becky's talking about. You can bring a little step stool. How about a 3-step step stool you get at Home Depot? Set yourself apart. This is good advice for agents from all the other agents. So sure enough, I called. The listing agent told me she couldn't take my call. She was at a showing. She texted me back. When she called me back, I asked her how old the furnace was. I might have told the story a few weeks ago. I go, great. You just left a home, a home showing. I go, fantastic. I said, how old was the furnace? She goes, I don't know. I said, how about the hot water heater? She didn't know. So, I sort of reached out there. If you're talking to agents and they're telling you might need to waive an inspection or do a pass fail, then when you're in the house showing the house, go ahead and bring a notebook. You got your cell phone with you. Take pictures because, Becky, sometimes you go in that sub pump and then there's a problem there. There's some evidence of water in the house or the basement. These are things that the health and safety, they're going to pick up on. So there's a lot of things you could do ahead of time when you're making that offer. And again, just setting yourself up for success. You want to make sure that the foundation's not crumbling.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing that we're trying to get out to everyone that's listening is there is great fulfillment in home ownership. And when you're with the right people, we are trying to make sure that you have an amazing experience. And part of that is that education piece. And sometimes you need someone to hurt your feelings about the house. You need to know what's wrong with it. So because once the parade and the dog and pony show leaves and it's all quiet, it's just you and you are the homeowner. And if you're not with the right people, you could come up with some things that are going to be a little bit scary. Like maybe the foundation is cracked and you didn't realize it, or you get that first rain. And I had a home buyer where they bought their first house, they closed on it, and we had a huge rainfall and the water is just pouring in their basement because the seller that did a great job, they bought a brand new porch, but they didn't cap it right. So water's pouring in the basement. So we had to hurry up and go over there and send the right people over there to fix it. But that doesn't happen if you're not surrounded by a great team. So to that point, when you're, and a buyer, we're part of our buyers no matter for the rest of their life. We're a part of that experience, whether it's their first house or their seventh house. They're never going to forget each time they bought the house. And even right now in this market we're talking about, do you suggest even some of these homes where they're buying fixer-uppers? And if they are, what are some ways that you can kind of give them some education if they are looking to buy a fixer-upper because they're maybe that turnkey is going to be a little bit out of their price point because it's over asking?
Oh, absolutely. Because when you're walking in a house and you're seeing how something works or, what's wrong with it and things like that. Because my husband and I have flipped a couple houses, we kind of get a good gauge on what we're spending for repairs and stuff like that. So if I come across like a furnace that's, you can tell it's very obvious that
the
this is old.
Furnace.
Or, a roof is going to need help. You let them know you're going to have to put this in your budget. Or we turn around and we say, okay, I'm not opposed to you putting an offer on this. You love this house. That's clear. But let's get you a home warranty, because that first year, you don't want surprises.
Yeah. And it's key when what you're talking about is when we're talking about the budget and what you can afford. And then when you're with a professional like Sherry, you're not just like, oh, let's just throw something in there. Let's go over asking. Let's get you just get the offer accepted. We don't care what happens. No,
It's
someone
not like
Sherry.
that.
No, someone like Sherry and any seasoned real estate professional, they are going to make sure that their buyers are getting just as equally amount of a good deal as the seller, and that is what's key, because there are concessions. And we say concessions, that's the seller's willing to give you some of their proceeds to help you maybe fix some of these things that were wrong with the house that they didn't want to fix themselves.
Right. There was a buyer that I was working with not too long ago. She had family that was saying, hey, you should go into this area because it's a little bit better, and pushing her price point up a little bit. And I kept saying, where are you comfortable with your payment at? Because what's going to happen is when the new tax bill comes, chances are that tax bill is going to go up. So I don't want my clients to be in a position where they're pushing themselves beyond their comfort zone. I'm thinking about what they're going to go through.
Yeah.
All right, some
So-
additional advice
That's
too,
a lot,
Sher.
but people are pressing the pedal down, not thinking about those taxes. And those are things that Sherry and I have regular conversations about.
All right. We always stay organized and all that good stuff. We're coming up to the end of the show here. Definitely grab that folder if you just closed down your house. Start putting your warranties away, your closing package, your insurance policy, other important documents like your warranty, so you know that number to call in case anything goes bad. Again, if you're looking to get approved for a mortgage, again, pre-approval, okay, we can start you off slowly. We'll get you approved. There's no obligation, no cost out of your pocket. 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. Be sure to reach out to Capital Mortgage Funding all week long.
Listen, there's less than 60 days left in the year. You have to have a financial plan going forward. You got to start now. Think about 2024, 2025. We can help you out. We've got the numbers, and we always say, everybody out there, the math doesn't lie. We'll do the math for you. We'll help you out. We'll set you up for success.
All right, Sherry Gramlich from eXp Realty, and of course, the great Becky Ellie. She'll be talking with us next Saturday. Harry Glanz, I'm Harvey Freed. Keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket. We got Pat Caputo coming up with sports. We'll see you next Saturday.